I think pretty much everybody's finishing up on the latter end anyway. Again, I'd like to welcome you all to the Hardrocker Hall of Fame 2014 induction ceremony. A great crowd, exciting day. Please join me in thanking, special thanks to Dr. Paul Goetsch for his generous support of the Hall of Fame Day. Thank you so much. With myself being new to the School of Mines, I've been here 6 months, and when I took over the Hard Rock Club, you know, this honestly is one of the most enjoyable things I've had the honor to put together, as I, corresponding with all the Hall of Fame inductees and looking at all their individual accomplishments, the teams that they were on, the coaches that guided them, molded them. Really been a great, enjoyable experience for me. I also know we've got great things moving ahead. Hardrocker Athletics is in great shape, and thanks in large part to some of these folks laid the foundation for where we're at today. So truly a special day for all the inductees here. So glad to see their family and friends. Looking forward to some great stories. So before we get started with some inductions, I want to invite Dr. President Heather Wilson.
Wanted to welcome all of you to the School of Mines, and particularly all of you who are being honored here today. And I'm so glad that so many families were able to join us here today. This really is a special day on campus. We're not only honoring some of our former athletes, but we're honoring leaders. You don't get to be inducted into the Hall of Fame just because you were a great athlete here. It's because you developed skills and abilities here as a great athlete that have allowed you to serve in industry, in your communities, in your families, and that's why you've been chosen to be members of the Hall of Fame, is that well-rounded human being who's used the gifts that you've been given to serve others. So thank you for representing this school well over many, many years. We're all very, very proud of you, and I'm really glad you're here today. It is my pleasure now to introduce our new athletic director. Joel Lucan came here from Missouri. Which way do you say it?
Well, I was told this Missouri.
He's an Iowa boy and a baseball player. Grew up in a small town in Iowa. He's been with us now for 4 months.
June 2nd.
And he is already making a tremendous difference in Hardrocker athletics and on this campus. I got to tell you, I don't know how many people are going to be there today, but our first home football game this year, it was an event. And there were more people on those ramps than at any time last year other than the Gage game. It was a lot of fun, a lot of energy, supporting great coaches here and building athletic scholarships here and really connecting this school to the surrounding community. It is my pleasure to introduce our athletic director, Joel Lucan.
I need a cheat sheet here a little bit. Heather covered about 3/4 of what I covered, so we'll flip through this. No, I've been here since June 2nd, and it's absolutely fabulous. Rapid City's amazing. South Dakota School of Mines and Technology, the people here are awesome. I haven't had a single day, with the exception of maybe last week, Wednesday and Thursday, when I woke up and there were 4 inches of snow on the ground. A bad day here, and I won't even let you in on what my wife said to me when she woke up. So we have really great people here at South Dakota School of Mines and Technology on campus, from the top down, from the president's office to our students, to our scholar athletes. I'm extremely excited about the opportunities that the NCAA brings forward academically and athletically. We're fully vested in the NCAA transition. Next year, all of our teams will be under the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference umbrella, and they'll all have a sustainable and stable schedule, which if you talk to any of your coaches here at Mines, as being an independent, it is extremely difficult to find. As beautiful as Rapid City is, it's extremely difficult to get people to come up here and So I just say, congratulations to the 2014 Hardrocker Hall of Fame class. It's an absolute fabulous day. It's a great day to be a Hardrocker. Congratulations again.
Well, the first athlete being inducted is a guy that I just got to meet last night. What a phenomenal athlete he really was. And I don't know all the stories, but there are a couple of guys here that do. I'll invite up first, former Hardrocker player as well, Ryan Wessel.
Good afternoon. No, Stevie was not talking about you as far as a great athlete. A pleasure and an honor to be here today to speak in front of you for a moment regarding Craig. When Craig called me on Wednesday and asked me for a big favor, I assumed maybe it was to play golf or just get together maybe for dinner or whatnot, but when he asked me to be a part of this today and to say a few words, I was just again truly honored. And stories again as the years go by that we've been together, excuse me, and known each other. I met Craig in fall of 1992 at junior college out in Oregon. Right away, Craig, just an invited guy, just a person that you can get along and get to know right away, very outgoing. I'll never forget the first practice, and I watched him run up and down the floor, and I realized that maybe this guy's, 40 years old. I don't know what he does to run him down really well. I don't know how this is going to work for us, but I think in the first practice or even maybe the first scrimmage or whatnot, when he dropped 40 on somebody, I think, maybe this will be okay. And as you can see by his stats and in the brochure here, just a phenomenal basketball player, but again, more so just a great person. He introduced me to the quiet dorms, as they called at Treasure Valley Community College. It was for the students that wanted a little more time to themselves and quiet time to study, and that type of thing. And he introduced me to hallway tennis. You're obviously in a hotel, the hallways are somewhat wide. Well, at Treasure Valley, they're half that size. And you get about, 60 feet away, and you get tennis balls and tennis rackets, and you try to hit each other. And that was the first introduction to the quiet dorms at Treasure Valley. I was introduced to. Craig and I, obviously, again, with the coaches at Treasure Valley, the 2-on-2 games that we would battle with after practice every day. And just a camaraderie that we formed and shared still today. He's the reason I'm here at Treasure Valley, from Treasure Valley, to South Dakota School of Mines. Craig was a year older than I was, came here, obviously the year after he finished at Treasure Valley. So I followed kind of along a little bit, knew Craig, and obviously met Coach Welch, and it was the fit for me. A lot of great times, great stories. Played on a great basketball team that year in 1995. We won the conference championship under Coach, and had just a great experience, and a lot of that was due to Craig Nelson and just being the person that he is and the great leader that he is. And then again, another great day for Craig was the day he met and married Sandra. Thank goodness. What an inspiration she's been in his life, I know. And I do think you remember, Craig, on the wedding day, I think you wore a white tux, correct? And this is where Craig, he's taught me a lot in my life and whatnot, and preparation was one thing. And he was prepared for that day like no other. It's his wedding day, it's the biggest day of his life, and he's got his white tuxedo on and blue underwear. Again, preparation. But again, I want to be short here. I know this coach is going to come up and speak, but I just want to, again, thank all of you for allowing me to be here to say a few words. Craig, a tremendous honor for you and your family, and an honor for me to be here and introduce you today to the Hardrocker Hall of Fame. And then another great honor is for me to introduce Coach Welch, who's going to come up and speak now. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Rhino. Congratulations, everybody that's here. I've had the privilege of knowing everyone. It's pretty cool for me. What can I tell you about Craig Nelson? Well, I know what I would like to tell you. First of all, I would like to tell you that Craig attended the School of Mines because of the wonderful academic reputation. I would like to tell you that Craig came because he thought the head basketball coach was the greatest guy he'd ever met. I can't tell you those things. Craig came to the School of Mines, as Ryan alluded to. There was a little bit of a comfort level there because of Ryan. There was another comfort level because his assistant coach at Treasure Valley, now my assistant basketball coach. So I think those are the two biggest reasons that he came. Now when he came here, there were going to be two challenges. I thought there might be two challenges. I think Craig thought there was one challenge, and that one challenge would be the academics. So he came here, he got to work, and being a pretty clever guy, he developed a wonderful friendship with Rob Christensen, who was here. Well, we all know that Rob's the smartest guy on the campus at any particular moment. I mean, there's never been a doubt in any professor's mind, any university president's mind, there's the smartest guy. And on a side note, remember when your mom and I talked you into that philosophy course? My son got an A from the same professor. My son is a proud South Dakota State University graduate in journalism, and that might explain why a journalist would understand the philosophy a little better than, you engineers know it. There's no question about that. Well, the biggest turning point in Craig's academic career was one time he figured out, I can do calculus. Wow. When he got that figured out, Katie barred the door. And then there's an engineering degree, and then there's this wonderful career that he has. And that's pretty cool. I've always been excited for Craig from that aspect. And some of it, of course, was his choice of friends with teammates Mitch and with Ravel and stuff. And Ryan, I guess, was there for him academically. The other challenge that I don't think Craig expected to the degree that I did was the transition from his previous basketball situation to the one that he was now involved in. Now, we knew that he was going to be a good player. I mean, just a really good player. He had great skills, he understood the game, he was a good shooter, he had pretty good range. I think Craig thought his range might have been better than I thought his range was, but he had quick feet. And obviously, for you people that are basketball aficionados, he had the #1 trait that an undersized post player needs to have. A big old butt. And that served him well, as a basketball player. You guys that played know how do you get around those guys? You don't get around. Well, Craig, we started out and it was a little different for him, and I think the biggest difference possibly was the accountability factor from the coaching staff on the defensive end was a little bit more intense here than it was in his previous operation. But as the days went by and practices went by and we got through that first year, he developed better defensive skills and became a very, very good defensive player using all the quick feet and stuff that he had. We had a nice team Craig's junior year. We had a really outstanding team. As Ryan mentioned, we won the conference championship his senior year. We started, Craig was the conference MVP that year, the conference MVP that the men's basketball program produced. And so Craig started at one of the big spots. Defensive player of the year, Rob Christensen. Another spot, we started 3 freshmen with those guys, and then Ryan came in and took care of everything else that needed to be done. So it was an exciting year, and a lot of it was due to Craig. It's fun to sit around with the guys. I'm sure they did last night, and when they see each other and get to tell stories and the things that they remember, and I do the same thing. I remember that the coach was stupid because I never got to play enough in college. It was, so I didn't coach. And the stories that you guys, the things you remember are totally different than what I remember. Now, for a moment of trying to be serious, which of course has always been very difficult for me, unless we were coaching basketball or playing golf, the two requirements for being serious. But these are the 3 things I really remember about Craig. I remember the preseason conference tournament in Sioux Falls, playing Dordt College in the 5th place game. And the night before, Craig just, I don't think he slept, and I know nothing stayed down. And he comes out and just really handed it to those big kids that Dordt always seemed to have. It was a tremendous gutting performance. I remember for my friends here, a game, a Sunday or a Saturday afternoon, the game at Jamestown Civic Center, playing the Jamestown, aptly named Jimmies, in a very, very close game, and down the stretch trying to figure out a way to get ahead, where we ran a little baseline play for Craig, and we got a switch off of a local coach. You guys know what I'm talking about. Got switched off on Craig on this play, and of course it wasn't just 2, it was 3 points by the time it was done. And it assured a victory for us. And perhaps the most important thing I remember about Craig is how he progressed as an academic individual, how he found such an extremely smart and attractive wife, and what a good team they've made, and the things that he's done with his life. And we've always preached that, and everybody that ever coached here with any success at all understand that that's the type of guy that you want to have, or lady that you'd like to have. People that buy in academically, that get it done, and they go on and do things that are incredible. And in Craig's case, I think I understand a little bit about what he does now. Christensen, I've got no clue. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Coach. Join me in welcoming the newest member of the 2014 Hardrocker Hall of Fame, Craig Nelson.
Oh, you're just going.
I want to thank Ryan for keeping it clean and not telling all the stories. That's appreciate that. Later. We go way back, good friend there. It's kind of funny. My career out of high school, played some high school basketball, but coming out of school, I almost didn't even go to junior college to play because didn't have a lot of money. Didn't have a lot of scholarships. Kind of work construction with my dad. As a matter of fact, we had already made that decision to go construction, and I get a phone call from Drake Wallach, our junior college coach, and says, "Come on up for a tryout." So we did, and went up there, and we put our tennis shoes on and ran up the court a couple times, and come back home and said, "I didn't make the team, Dad. Let's go to work." And so I get a call 2-3 days later and says, "Hey, we got a spot for you, and come on up and join the team." And we really had a big talk at home because my dad needed to work, and so I said, "Nah." I called him back and says, "Drake, we just can't do it. We can't afford college, and we're gonna stay home and work with my dad and stuff." And after a couple more conversations, he says, "You know what, son, just go up and do it. Let's go give it a shot." So we went up there and made the team, and eventually started first year and second year, and we got a jump here to South Dakota Tech with you and Drake and Vera Cutler, and I just kicked off my career, and it was it's just kind of lucky where you end up in life and where life events take you. And I've just been very privileged and lucky to be here today with you guys and be honored by South Dakota Tech. I really appreciate that. A couple people I really want to thank is my family that drove all the way up. They're from Oklahoma, and we got some Idaho folks here, and they've supported me throughout my career, and that's very big for me. I did meet my wife here, Sandra, and I love her to death, and her parents have been a great supporting factor for me as well. Especially want to thank Hugh Welsh. What he didn't tell you is how many times. What he didn't tell you is how many times he kicked me out of practice. But it was because we were both passionate. And what he did say is he won Coach of the Year the same year I became the MVP of the conference. And I think that was we were just both very passionate on what we were trying to do, and we kind of had a great relationship. And we come back the next day and lace them up and go get it done again. So But I want to thank you for a lot of support, advice, and good mentor for me. Also want to thank my players, Rob Christensen. He is the smartest guy here on campus, I can tell you that. However, he didn't help me with any of my homework, Coach. I had to do that myself. But Rob was a great player, and I don't think I would be standing up here without a Rob, Mitch Zdarsky, and Ryan Messick, because they're the only guys that threw me the ball. Twice. So I appreciate that. I had some great teammates that are just as deserving as I am to be up here. So with that said, I hope my kids, I brought them today. I hope they can see the example of what hard work can do for you, and don't ever stop pushing yourself and going after your dreams. So that's my message, and thank you very much.
We'll stay on basketball. I'm not as tall as he is. I have to get on my tippy toes here. We'll stay on basketball. Speaking of my size, I was a guard. Wasn't very good, but I love seeing guards getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, and getting ready to induct Elaine Foy-Baker, person that guided her. Welcome, Coach Bardfelder.
It's so good to see so many familiar faces here. And the brothers, good to see you guys back. Always fun. And that guy over there, he's been a heartfelt helper for me for many years. He raised 3 daughters, and I got one of them here for a while, so at least he helped me out. Those of you that know me know that there's not much more than my kids that matters to me. And they're gifts from God, and they're also gems. They're hard to find. And back in the olden days, before computers, before the recruiting services and all this, how do you find these engineering women? Well, through contacts with people that you know, and any place you go, you grab a newspaper, the sports page, and run into McDonald's or whatever, and I steal a sports page just to read it. And that's primarily where I found a lot of my kids early on. For the first 13 years, I coached both sports, so I tried to find those kids that played both volleyball and basketball. So that was quite a challenge. But in one of the newspapers I grabbed out of the Billings Star Tribune, I found this little girl up in Helena. She was kind of small. She was a tiny little thing, but man, she scored some points, and she was leading her team, and talked to the coach and got a tape sent down. Man, she was a fiery little bugger. And so I got her down here, and we always had a parent brunch and at the end of the year, and brought her down, and she and her dad came down. What was it, 9 hours to Helena? 9-hour trip down to come for a little brunch and meet the Lady Hardrockers, and what a great time. Fell in love with her and her dad, and then those of you that know we're a wild mom, that came later. But it was a great, great find. And then I find out that she's also got her black belt in karate. So I thought, I can take care of some of these officials. I don't know how I fell down. But it was a great find. Academically, she could have gone anywhere. Some of the bigger schools, Gonzaga, since she's too small. It's not the size of the dog, it's the size of the fight, that's it. And she always taught that to the smaller campers. It was a blessing to have the kids help with camp. And you know, some of the little tiny ones thought, I'm never going to make a basket. She'd always take them aside and talk to them. She was a great example and a good role model. The year that Elaine came in, I brought in 8 freshmen. I thought I was going to die. I had just graduated kids that had taken us to that first national tournament, Leah and Maria were the last remnants of that. Oh, here I go again, starting with nothing, it's gonna be horrible. That was the start of a wonderful, wonderful ride. And we had 8, right? And they're coming from all directions, and just to get them to run down the court at the same time, we're working our fast break, and you know, Elaine and I, she's the extension, she's the point guard. She tries to relay what you want done out there. And we're working on fast break one day, and they're not looking up. And Coach Cole said, well, just nail them in the head. Well, she did. But that's exactly what needed to get done, and we got them on the same track. And like those of you that experienced it, it was a wonderful run. She was academically All-American. She got her chemistry degree here. She also got a management degree here. So we're blessed to keep her around. She helped us as an assistant coach for 5 years. And that's another great experience as a coach, to bring your kids in and give you another, voice. Hey coach, you're taking it a little bit too easy. You weren't that easy on us. Or, it's finals time, coach. You gotta ease up a little bit. So it's wonderful to hear that side of it. So she's been a blessing since the day I met her, and she graduated from the University of Pacific with her pharmacy degree, and her husband Brad have 2 children. They live in Coeur d'Alene. So Elaine, would you come on up? This is Elaine Foy Baker, guys. She can chuck it at you.
She knows how to pass.
Thanks, Coach. It's not the first time I've had to go to my downstate. I'll fess up now. 5'3" was really not true. I don't know why I thought like an inch, okay, maybe an inch and a half made that much of a difference for intimidation, but back then it seemed to sound like a good idea. I want to thank everybody for having us at Hard Rock Club, and it's good to see some faces I haven't seen in a long, long time. So it's really fun to be back in Rapid City. We don't get back that often. So it's got some beautiful weather. It's been a great time. I want to just introduce some guests of mine at the table there. Dr. Tom Oliver came. Thanks, Tom, for coming out today. And he was just a longtime Lady Hardrocker fan. He and his wife Nancy used to have us out for Thanksgiving dinner when we had to be away from home playing tournaments. And then also Dr. Larry Simonson. Thanks, Larry, for coming. Larry's just always keeping in touch and letting me know how things are going on campus. And it doesn't matter anywhere we've been in the country living, he makes sure and stops by when he's in town, which is great. Brought my husband Brad with me, who I also met my spouse at the School of Mines. I was just getting ready to leave Rapid City, and he showed up, and we fell in love and have 2 beautiful children. And I want to thank him because when I said, hey, do you want to take a road trip out to Rapid? Like, I don't know, several hundreds of miles with 2 children, 3 and under. And he's like, yeah, let's go. My mom couldn't be here today. She's traveling around Europe. She was very mad that I didn't tell her about this until she bought her plane ticket. But it was time for her to go take a trip. And for those of you who know my mom, it's really hard for her to be away. She was looking forward to coming back. And my dad is no longer with us, but he was a true Lady Hardrocker fan. And I remember, my mom had taken me to some schools kind of in the Pacific Northwest. And she had taken some days off work, so she didn't have more days. So my dad says, okay, let's go check this out, School of Mines. He was actually from Butte, Montana. So anything with School of Mines, he was on board. Because he knew what a science and engineering education for summer. And so we came out for Parents Weekend, met some families, had a great breakfast, had a nice conversation with Dr. Dean Bryson, and I remember sitting, I think we were sitting with the Janovies, Karen Janovie, her dad, and she had some older siblings, and they'd all gone through school of mines, had these great, fantastic jobs. My dad, he was in love when we walked in the door. You know, and I actually too. I mean, I just, as soon as you walk in here and you meet the professors and you meet the other student athletes, I just knew. And my mom, she didn't come with us, so she was like, Charlene, you know. I said, yeah, because I said, Mom, you'll see, wait till you see. So when she moved me out, you know, I remember we showed up and I said, Mom, now that's his dorms, that's all guys. That's all guys. There's one floor over there that's women, one floor over there that's women. So you're coming home right now. Anyways, but I said, let's go meet Coach before you hit the road, Mom. So we walk out, Coach is in her office, and she met Barb. And we were really only spent maybe 5-10 minutes. And we're walking out, and my mom says, okay, Elaine, I get it now. I really get it. And so, I'll come back to you in a second, Coach, but, so, being a point guard here, I think I also was really blessed to learn from Lori, who's a Hall of Fame point guard in her own right. She's a Hall of Fame point guard from Dakota State. She's actually also a Hall of Fame Rapid City for athletics. And so we had a lot of point guard talks, you know, any free throw, Elaine, come stand by me, we'll have a point guard chat. Coach is right. She told me he hit somebody in the head with the ball, and after that they started looking for it. And it's just a great role model professionally. We've been in town, we were having dinner last night and the other night, and we ran into some students of Lori's. They actually met in her biology class here on campus, got married, she went to their wedding, and just a great person. And I think it was recently, as last month, I probably called her and said, Lori, I need your advice. And so she's you know, just been a really great mentor to me, both on the court and off the court. So I want to thank you, Lori. And Coach, I just can't thank you enough for seeing the potential in me. Like she said, I really want to play college basketball, and I really want an excellent education. And there were a lot of places that said, you know, you're too small. And so, but she saw that potential, and I don't think, had I gone anywhere else, I would have had the success that I had here. And it was just one of those things where just everything came together, everyone, and Coach just has taught me so much. And any professional turn that I want to take, she's been there. She's just a great leader. Taught me a lot about leadership, commitment, integrity, perseverance, just passion, and you know, grit. Just never give up. And I want to thank you for that, Coach. And then you might say, well, actually, what I was thinking, same thing, teammates. I played with there were 3 All-Americans on our starting 5. I think there's probably 3 or top 5 scorers. So it was just one of those things. We just had this great chemistry, and we all made each other better. And it's a pretty special time. And I think as cliche as it sounds, we were much greater than the sum of all our parts. I mean, we all always talked about how we couldn't have had the success we had we not been together. And we had some great times and a lot of memories. And so I just am so blessed for the education and the family here at Tech. I guess the other thing, I just, you know, the tradition and the excellence here. I remember when Coach, I asked her when she was recruiting me, do you think you're going to be, I just went through a coaching change in high school, and I want to do that again. I think you're going to be retiring anytime soon? And she said, nope, I'll be here probably for 4 years at least. And so, you know, the other thing that she taught us is to, you know, just respect tradition. And I can't tell you the number of times as you're creating your own path, and you know, we always wanted to do it good and do it better. But I always remember her saying, okay, so and so is on campus, and you need to go talk to them. You need to see how they're doing. You know, how's their career going? What can you learn from them that they're doing professionally? And I know, I mean, I'm blessed to know a lot of the former lady Hardrockers just because of that. They be on campus and they go science and engineering. And even, Maria Fossum was really a great point guard that set the bar high. And I was just having a conversation with her last night. She's always giving me, I call them clinical pearls now because I work in healthcare. And Maria always gave me these little clinical pearls throughout my life, And so it used to be about basketball and life in general and transitioning into professionalism. And last night, we were talking about different phases in kids, and she's always giving me these little clinical pearls. We talk maybe once a year, but it's just that influence, and hopefully, we continue to pass that on. I was very fortunate to coach for 5 years after I was here, and so I have this really neat span of about 15 years in both directions that I just really truly cherish with all these lady Hardrockers. And I guess I'll just end it, I was going to steal from you, Steve, and then I forgot about it. But when Lori had a retirement party, Steve said something about entrusting your daughter with someone and what a privilege that is. And I know my parents felt that way, and they would want to pass that on to you. And having my own daughter now, I completely understand that. There was nobody that I would rather entrust, with my own daughter. My parents felt that way than with Barb and Lauren. So I just want to thank you guys for the ride. And it was just wonderful. And thank you guys for having me here. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Our next inductee is going in as an all-around athlete. He was a great track and field athlete and a great football player as well. The guy to introduce him has been around here, been there, done that. Head coach Jerry Schaefer.
Well, I guess I am honored to be able to introduce the next inductee, but before I do that, I do want to recognize just a couple of people. Craig Nelson's wife, Sandra, if you go out in the hall and look at the track record board, she does hold the 1,500 meter record. So, that's a pretty good couple there, very athletic, and so I wanted to recognize Sandra. The other person I'd like to recognize was really Brian's coach as a throw coach, and that's Les Odegaard. Les, just stand real quick. Brian for his last 3 years of his career here and got him to the big show and brought that success to Brian, got the most out of him. And so I'm appreciative of Les and his efforts. I know we didn't compensate him nearly enough for the hours that he spent helping develop Brian. So, but Brian Gage. Brian's going into the Hall of Fame as an all-around athlete because he was a great football player as well as a great track athlete. Brian's senior year, he was the South Dakota Intercollegiate Conference Defensive Player of the Year at nose tackle. That was his position. And his nemesis from University of Sioux Falls in the conference in track was also the nose tackle, defensive tackle, and was named the National Defensive Player of the Year after University of Sioux Falls won the national title. And so Brian actually was better than the defensive tackle from the University of Sioux Falls, who was the national defensive tackle. So I want to bring that out just to give you an idea of how good Brian was as a football player. Incredible speed, incredible size. He's slimmed down quite a bit from the 285 he was as a football player and a thrower. But Brian was an incredible athlete. And some of his accomplishments, Brian was a 3-time All-American, and 2 of those times his senior year, indoors and outdoors, was the national runner-up. He was a 2-time academic All-American, so good head on his shoulders as well. Has the school record both indoor and outdoor still, and his outdoor record is 57 feet 10.5 inches. That stood for quite some time now. And one of the stories I remember, things I remember about Brian, what a competitor. I know he pulled a muscle in his torso just before the D1 meet in Fort Collins at Colorado State University. And we weren't sure. we were trying to treat him as best we could. I'm not even sure if we had an athletic trainer back then. And we're trying to get him healthy because we know he's going to nationals. And he went down to CSU and he won that meet against all the D1 competition as well as D2 and NAIA competition. That's the kind of competitor he was. So I'm going to bring up Brian Gage.
So I didn't prepare anything today. I should have thinking about that earlier. Well, I definitely want to thank, I guess first I was going to thank my mom who's sitting out there. She's, it's kind of an interesting story on how I came out here. I grew up on the east side of South Dakota, and I was really looking at like South Dakota State or Northern. And my football coach at that time, who I respected greatly, he was from SDSU and alumni. He came up to me and he said, I'm not endorsing you to go to SDSU until you go out to South Dakota School of Mines and check it out. So he had a pamphlet, I still remember this, he had a pamphlet in the hallway and he said, you're gonna go out there. And so we did. So my mom and I, we drove out here. And it was funny, because eastern side of South Dakota, it can be cold and snowy. Came out here in April and it was one of those great April days. It was like 70s and the doors were open and I was like, I love it out here. So driving back, I think that was one of the turning points. Is like this really could be a good option. And so I found myself out here and that really was the academics is one of the main reasons I came out here. It's great academics, obviously. At that time, the athletics was, like Coach said, wasn't a lot for scholarship money. I think we had maybe a couple trainers in football, but for track, it was, we had a trainer for track. But I love the school and I love the people out here. And I think it was I didn't tell Son this earlier, but I think it was my freshman year that she actually got, I think it was an award in both academics and athletics. During that, every spring we have, some award ceremony. And I remember sitting there, I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to be as good as I can be, as excellent as I can be in both school and sports. And it's kind of amazing. Once you set your mind on something, you can really accomplish a lot. So the next few years, thankfully, very successful for me. So I just want to thank, I guess my mom again, and of course, Coach Schaefer, for being the head coach during track, and for Coach Odegaard, all of our fun trips. I think between all the stories that you have, and probably half of them were made up, but they're still so interesting. It was definitely enjoyable, the spring with you and Baruch and all the guys. Definitely want to thank Dr. Larry Sonson for just kind of, I guess I feel like you've been kind of one of my mentors. I know you were one of the first people I met in Millbank. You came out there for recruiting, and Scott Larson and myself were a couple of folks that came out here and graduated the same year. So I just want to thank you for all the support and keeping in touch. And my dad, who's not here, he actually, one of the challenges, this will be the last short story, so one of the challenges in the spring with both football and track is that you have football practice and you have track practice. Football practice, coaches say you need to be a football. Track coaches say you need to be a track. And so I was really struggling with, do I need to give one of these up? And my dad was one of the people that said, if you really want to do both, and you feel like that's what you should be doing, he's like, you just got to fight through it. I'm glad I did, and that was one of the good pieces of advice that he gave me in college. And so I think that's all that I had. And then, of course, my wife for driving up here. It was a long drive. Came up yesterday. We live in Denver now, so it was a fun trip up here. And we do some touring, and definitely appreciate all the support the last few years. So that's all I have. Thank you, everybody.
Next inductee is for football. And we got a basketball guy introducing. They go back quite a few years. Hugh Boyle, welcome up, Hugh Boyle.
I met Rick Wass 39 years ago at a beanie ring. For the record, that evening, I did not think he was a future Hall of Famer. Rick was a stud running back in high school. In his senior year in Hot Springs, they went 9-0 and won the state championship. So he comes to the School of Mines and sits on the bench. So, proving once again, the difficult roads lead to a wonderful destination. Due to an injury from someone that he paid off to injure the person playing it, Rick started from the second game on his freshman year. So Rick becomes the guy that runs through the hole that the line has created so he can block a linebacker. And his coaches motivate him to the point where he actually enjoys it. I know that Rick was not told that story when he was recruited here at the School of Mines. However, the people that he punished when he did run the ball can attest to the fact that he deserves to be here today. What humbles me about Rick is that some of the most powerful speeches he has delivered are in the dedicated silence of his actions. Rick was a ringleader to start the alumni game here at the School of Mines. So, thank you, Rick Wass, for being a part of the South Dakota School of Mines and Technology family. So, folks, I'd like to introduce to you the amazing Rick Wass.
The check's in the mail.
We'll put it in his 401k.
You said 10 minutes, right? That's another 20. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for this honor. The first one I'd like to thank is Nancy Christensen over here. This beautiful, beautiful Christensen center. Thank you. When they came to me about 25 years ago and had this idea, and we had just got the alumni football game rolling in 1980, which I don't see any of the 1980 Hall of Fame football players here. You guys said you were 8-1. You were 8-2. You lost to us in the first alumni game. 17-14. And I would very much like to introduce our two All-Americans, Jim Guthrie, the tailback. Stand up, Jim. If you want to know the truth about South Dakota Tech football in those later days, in the 70s, these two men can tell you the truth was Bob told us when and where to go. I told Jim, and we did it. I have to thank the two of you for, I call them my All-Americans, and the third All-American, Dave Dutton, couldn't make it this year because his wife is graduating with her
with her PhD in Texas, and he sends his regrets. So, the people I really, really need to thank on this is Nate Brown. You guys have got a gem. And this young man starting here, he approached me, and at the alumni football golf tournament, you know, and he told me, he goes, just before we teed off, he goes, congratulations, you're the new Hall of Fame inductee. And my first thought was, you know, wait a minute, this 35 years, okay. And it's Hugh Boyle playing a joke on me. Anyway, I didn't say anything about it to my teammates, and Mr. Tim Patero over there has designated my teammates on my golf team as the Four Horsemen. And if you've noticed, about the past 10, 15 years, there's always a picture of the Four Horsemen. Well, Bruce Franzen's about 350, about 6'4". Al Bowie's about 285, 6'4". Dave Lenson, he was our punter and wide receiver, and then there's Rick on the end. You know, so they make us take 4 carts. We did actually burn one up one year. Mr. Longbon's in Langseth. They're going up the hill. It was really wet, but there is a little sign in there that says something about weight limits. They gave us 2 carts from then on. I'm very, very thankful for what the South Dakota School of Mines has done for me over the past 39 years. And despite meeting Hugh Boyle at a beanie raid, he was also my brother in arms, and we got kicked out of the dorms our freshman year. This is the way Dean Peterson put it to us. Our facilities cannot accommodate you guys anymore because our insurance company said. So he asked us to get something about 3 incident reports. You're supposed to be kicked out of the dorms. Hugh, I think, led us in 15. I had 12.
Statute of limitations.
I had 12, and Steve Bauman, our third person that was going to be our roommate, he was the watchout, so he only had 4. The education I received from the South Dakota School of Mines has led me to a wonderful, wonderful life. I've learned how to give back, and I've done that with coaching, everything from, I was an assistant coach with the 1980 team to then I went to high school with my high school coach in Douglas, and then I went to 7th and 8th grade, and then I finally retired. I coached all my children, and they still love me despite it. And I did 5th and 6th grade football, and it was full tackle football, and after 2 years of coaching 5th and 6th grade football, the head coach in Douglas that was going for their 3rd state championship in a row comes up to me and he goes, "Rick, could you teach me some of those plays?" And I'm going, "Why?" "Well, you got 5th and 6th graders, you got pulling guards, we're running trap plays, we're running reverses, and it wasn't fair to the other teams." So they banned me from 5th and 6th grade coaching. I had some awesome, awesome coaches here. Coach Boner, Coach Coyle, Doug King, and now DP. And I call them my 4 horsemen. And they're all together right now. Every time I come up here to the King Center, I walk around over to that bronze plaque, put my hand on the nose, and I go, schnoz. That King taught me etiquette. If you didn't know
know Doug King, one of his favorite terms, when you got hurt, he was on the field and he was the trainer. What was it?
What was his nickname for you?
Can't be repeated. I got my godfathers here. But, okay, you beauties, everybody in the pool, and take a shower first, because I don't want a ring around my pool. That was good. And then I met Barb. They brought Barb in, and I tell you, this is a family. And you've been a family to me for 39 years now. This journey started for me in 1975 when I walked onto campus, and the first person I met was Mr. Bob Longbottom. I thought he was an upperclassman. And we were here for fall camp, and I asked him where he's from. He said, Albion, Illinois. You notice, I said, well, in Illinois, so where's that in Illinois? There's no S in Illinois. Bob was roommate. He was on the trips and everything. We worked together during the summer, and despite that, he's still one of my best friends in the world, and I can ask any of these guys. The last one is you, Jim Guthrie. I showed up here at South Dakota Tech, All-State, first All-State player out of Hot Springs, South Dakota, 9-0. Led the state in scoring. I was unbelievable. I could walk on water. First 3-a-day practices. Holy crap, what happened? What did I get myself into? Well, then school started, and something about the word calculus. Calculus 1, 2, and 3. I thought that's how many times you had to take it. I took calculus 3 times and still didn't pass it. I left the college in 1981 to go to work for a large oil company, Diamond Shamrock. And if you come to work for us March 17th, we'll give you a $10,000 bonus and we'll send you back to school, but we need you now. So I went to work for them, and about 10 years later, they called me up and said, hey, we're thinking about selling the company. Remember we told you to send you back to school? I said, yeah. Do I have to take calculus 3? I got a hold of Doug King and Dean Peake, and those guys have got a brand new program called Interdisciplinary Sciences. And I cherished that, because after being out in the oil fields for 10 years, I had this opportunity to come back for the whole summer, live in Hugh Boyle's basement, and go to school again. And I found out what's the most important lesson that I told my children when they went off to college. Go to class. You'll get a C if you even show up, if you're dumber than a brick. Dr. Boyson and Larry Simonson, thank you. Some of you people, the world just revolved around coming back to summer school. And I would have never, I got a degree in interdisciplinary sciences, and at my graduation at Christmas in '96, Steve Malone stood up in the balcony and yelled at the top of his lungs, "Wanna go one?"
Don't believe you did it.
I didn't believe that they didn't make me take calculus 3. I got to take history of Christianity, beginning Japanese. Quite a few other classes, but then there was this last one, and I had to get A's in everything just so that I could bring that grade point average back up, because calculus 3 had taken it down
way too many times. And Dr. Boyce made me write a paper, and I titled it, South Dakota Tech, 17 or 18 years of the best years of your life. Now to the people that I really need to thank that brought me, that came with us today. Hugh Boyle and his wife Nancy, they're my best friends. They've been there for me for the past 35 years. This alumni football game and everything that we came back. Everybody that played in that alumni football game are my friends. I can count on them for anything. The people that put it together for us. I have my daughters here and my son-in-law. Third one was a boy. But he did want to come here. But he told Coach Glenn that his dad knew too many people here. And he wasn't going here. They got lost on his tour, and he found their way back because he had been to 25 or more of the football games, the alumni football games. He knew his campus better than the guy leading the tour. But I also have my youngest brother here, Jeff Watts, and he's always been an inspiration to me, the same deal, because of the things that he went through. He went to Black Hills his first year. And Coach Schleckaway, you gotta know the history of me and Spearfish and Black Hills. I hated them. In high school, my senior year, they were ranked 3rd, we were ranked 5th in the state. I destroyed them. Not Hot Springs football team. I did. I scored 5 touchdowns, I kicked the extra points, I ran them. I intercepted a pass for a touchdown. And that's the reason I think Coach Coyle and Coach Bonner recruited me, was for my enthusiasm. Anybody from Spearfish. I had an opportunity to go to the University of South Dakota to play for Meany Cooper. I've been to one of his camps. I had a very, very good opportunity to go to Sharon City College. From Hot Springs, they were just down the road. And my high school sweetheart was going there in Sharon. And the football coach had said something to her about, are you dating that Rick Ross from Hot Springs? And she said, well, yeah. Well, if he doesn't come here, you might not pass this class. Benton County at Martin, I scored a touchdown and I flipped the ball to him in the end zone and told him to stick it up his. South Dakota Tech had been so good to me. Coach Bonner had come down a couple times to talk to me, and he was from Edgemont and was a great running back in his own days. And he very much had gotten with my dad. My dad worked for the Job Service of South Dakota, and he was a very, very great athlete. He made us, me and my brothers and my sisters, look like amateurs. He taught me how, when I'd get around him driving the basket, how to go up for a layup with my pants around my ankles. And, he was an awesome baseball player. He had been drafted, but he played basketball at Dakota Wesleyan with Gordon Foster's. And with that great team back in those days. And like I said, he worked for the Job Service in Hot Springs. And he came up to me and said, where are you going to go to college at? I said, well, I'm thinking about South Dakota State. I'm thinking about the University of South Dakota, because Meany Cooper's down there. Shattered's off the table. He goes, well, what about that South Dakota school? It's just up the road. And I said, well, engineering, I kind of like think about engineering. He goes, well, no. What are you going to do after you get out of college? And I said, I'm going to turn pro.
too white. Why don't you go up to the School of Mines here and get an education, and you'll play the first year. So when I got up here, I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to rule the world, and then I run into this All-American tailback. And he said, well, Rick, if you gain 25 pounds, we'll turn you into a fullback. Wait a minute, haven't you heard of that Brian song? Brian, Piccolo from Wake Forest that went to the Chicago Bears, and he was the fullback, and Gale Sayers was the tailback. So that makes you Gale Sayers. But anyway, my dad encouraged me to do that. The final kicker to this was Sonny Coyle was refereeing a basketball game between Hot Springs and Custer, and I got mad at a sophomore from Custer, and I dropped him right there, and they passed me the ball, and I made a layup, and the two big guys from Custer came after me, and Sonny Coyle stood there going, "You stand right there." Turn around and he goes, "Go to South Dakota Tech." And I said, "Yes, sir." He goes, "Go sit down on the bench." You too. So I had to. South Dakota Tech has been awesome, guys. I can't thank you guys enough for this honor. It's a team honor. I told after Nate came down to the speakeasy after the golf tournament and came up to us after we had some of his free beer and his free hors d'oeuvres, and we had, the whole couch and stuff, and Nate comes up to me and goes, "Well, what do you guys think about the new Hall of Fame inductee?" And Bruce Franzen, Al Bowie, it let some turn on me. "Why didn't you tell us?" I said, "I thought it was a joke that you brought up my name." Thank you very, very much. I went over my time limit. That was a shock. But the one thing you told me is do not forget to thank your wife. This woman's been with me since May 13th, 1973. We went to a band concert. She was the key club sweeper. Those were the days of hot pants and halter tops.
I forgot to tell him how to thank you.
She was a junior, I was a sophomore. She's been with me for 41 years, guys, and I think she deserves a round of applause. I do love you. Thank you very much.
Last athlete being inducted, she couldn't make it here. Her name is Shawn Banks, going in as an all-around athlete. She's enjoyed a successful career as an air traffic controller in San Diego, California. But to expand on her accomplishments, again, Barb Felder.
As I mentioned earlier, I was volleyball and basketball coach for 13 years. And once again, to get more of your money, $200 a year for scholarships, you had to find kids that could play both sports. And I went north and found Elaine and those guys and just tried to go regionally. I even put notices up on the men's locker room. Do you have any athletes that you graduated with or in your high school that can play basketball or volleyball? Let me know, anything I do. And we got a newspaper with Sydney Telegraph in there, and they had this great, actually 3-4 years of kids down there, volleyball and basketball. And I was lucky enough to get 2 of those kids out of there. One of them was Shawn Banks. And she's what you call a power hitter in volleyball. And she was a great asset. We used her as a middle blocker in outside here. And she actually broke a girl's finger because she hit it so hard going up to block, and as she comes down, it's dangling, and it was a mess. But she was a great player. That group that I brought in did a phenomenal job. We, back in those days, we had sub-districts and districts. It was the 3 states, South Dakota, North Dakota, and Montana. And that group got us into the sub-districts and then got us into the districts. And just phenomenal player, good passer, good server. She also played basketball. She had the record for most points in a game until Jamie Veraclo came around and took that from her. She was also a great rebounder, just a powerful athlete. And she only played for 2 years, decided that engineering was not for her. She didn't want to take Japanese or anything else. She went on to National American and got a business degree down there. And very, very intelligent person and very analytical. And we helped her into going to air traffic control school, and that's where she's been. There at the federal level, you've got to let them know ahead of time when you're going to be gone, and they've got to do their vacations and so forth. So she didn't really have enough time to get this organized, and she's some big manager or whatever. But very proud of Shawn, and I want to congratulate her on her induction into the Hall of Fame. Thank you.
In conclusion, I just want to congratulate all the inductees one more time. Just a phenomenal class. Join me in congratulating everybody here today. Thank you very much. Not only do I want to thank the inductees, but thank their families as well, for coming to the South Dakota School of Mines, making lasting contributions to this phenomenal university. And also want to thank all the friends and family that made the trip here today to celebrate this weekend. Should be a fun rest of your afternoon. A couple of things. We got a parade starting. I don't have a watch on me, but a parade starting at 3 o'clock downtown. So encourage you to go down there to the parade, and then right back here to O'Hara Stadium. Tailgate will be going on. We're getting ready to play University of Wisconsin River Falls and get a Hardrocker football win. So thank you all for coming. Enjoy the rest of your day, and look forward to recognizing all the Hall of Fame inductees at halftime of tonight's game. Thanks a lot.